Tapealert.
Tapealert. You already know, this is Landslide. You already know Tapealert. Lies, truth, and in between. And today we're here with the Wise Banker. Wiley's Oligarch. What up, man?
What's good, brother?
Peace.
What's good? Yep, all good.
Yeah,
all
man.
Good.
Good looking for being here for us to be able to link up and all that. It's a pleasure having you, man.
Thank you for being here, brother.
Financial consultant, debt manager, credit improver, all that good stuff, man. Tell me, where you from, bro?
Well, Queens. Born and raised in Queens. My background's from Pakistan. But you know, when you're raised in Queens, you're basically everything. You know what I mean? Because it's you know, there's no place like Queens as far as when it comes to like all the minorities kind of living together. We understand each other's cultures, and you have a lot of diversity. It's the melting pot of America, if not the world. You know, like there's no place like, I feel, Queens. I mean, we have the 2 airports there too. You know, so everybody comes there first.
Yeah, because I'm from Brooklyn. Queens always been a place, you know, where you can find the better people. You know, we would say nicer girls.
Yeah, you know, my office was on Steinway, and yeah, you know, there's a lot of gyms and a good scene over there. So yeah, it's I would say there's a lot of mix of cultures. So you see mixed, you know, a lot of mixed is beauty too. You know, so you see a lot of beautiful people because there's so many mixed children now. But you get like, you know, the best of features of whatever. You know, wherever you came from.
You know, yeah. So you said you're from Pakistan?
Pakistan, yes.
You was born there?
No, I was born here. Born and raised in Queens. Yeah,
born and raised in Queens. Yeah. What school you went to, man?
Bryan High School. I'm from Bryan High School, yeah.
What part of Queens is that?
It's Long Island City.
Oh, Long Island
City. Long Island City. Went to Bryan High School, went to IS 145. Okay. I grew up in Rosedale first, up until elementary, and then junior high school, I moved to the west side of Queens. I grew up on the south side and then moved to the west side in my junior high school days, yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, that's what's up. Yeah. So how was it coming up, Long Island City?
You know, I mean, it was great. I mean, I loved it. It was, you know, when I traveled more, I learned to appreciate New York more because there's always something going on. Like, I'll go to Dubai, I'll go to Europe, and I'll have fun for a week. But there's no place like New York. You know, I'm like, everything I could do over there, I could do over in New York, right? Yeah. You know, as far as food, if I want any culture food, I can go get it. You know, I feel like when I go somewhere else, I'm kind of limited to what I can do because I could only do your stuff. You know what I mean? Where in New York, I could do like, if I want to be any race, I could be that day. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. We spoil you there. You can jump on a train and go enjoy a whole nother culture's food.
Absolutely.
Way of living, whatever. So I definitely understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Absolutely.
So tell me something, because you said, you know, you're a financial consultant.
Sure.
You're a debt reliever.
Yeah.
At what age did you learn about that?
So my true story, which I don't even tell a lot of people, but this is Tapealert, and it's a good platform for me to share it.
Tapealert.
It's a great platform for me to share it. So I was working at a photo lab when I was younger, and I was going to college, and in BMCC, and I got caught with a gun on campus. In 99, right? Before 9/11, so luckily they didn't think I was a terrorist then, you know what I mean? You know, so you know, that was my, but they dropped the charges because it was my first arrest. So, you know, they made me go to court, and, you know, I feel like, you know, I got away, you know, I got another chance, you know, after I was afraid to jaywalk.
You know? What made you bring the gun to campus?
It was a girl, obviously, right? Like, you know, me and her brothers had a little altercation like that Sunday and then that Wednesday. I mean, I wanted to talk about financial stuff, but this is about my background. I got to tell you, you know, so I'll keep it real. It's Tapealert, right?
Yes, sir.
So I thought they was going to come back, you know what I'm saying? But no, the reason the charge got dropped because legally the cop did not have a right to search me. There was somebody else who must have been rolling a blunt or something, maybe 10 feet away from me, and he saw him. So technically, they had no right to search me. So it was an illegal search and seizure. And then luckily, those days, you know, they dropped it, and you know,
he was lucky.
Absolutely. And you know, it was before the gun charges are a lot tougher now than they were in the 90s. You know, I mean, you know,
you
so
like a year.
Yeah, but no question. I mean, you could win the Super Bowl and still do a year. And now with the gun charges, what happened? What's his name? I can't think of the giant player that Remember?
Mexico.
Yes, right.
Mexico.
And he caught the winning touchdown of the Super Bowl, and they still didn't show him no leniency. You know what I mean? They gave him a year.
Playing around in the club.
Yeah. So luckily, I feel blessed. I got lucky, and I applied for a job at a bank as a teller. And at that point, I didn't have any charges. I got the job, and then I just worked my way up through the banking. So I ended up at wealth management towards the end of my 15-year banking career.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
what bank were you at?
I started at PNC in New Jersey. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like it was literally right after the whole I got kicked out of college thing. And then I went from PNC. Then I went to a place called Greenpoint Bank, which was big on mortgages. So I got very familiar with mortgages. Then I went to North Fork Bank, which was like the all-around bank, Long Island, and then Capital One took them over. Then I got familiar with credit cards and things like that. It was the same. It was 3 different banks that just bought each other over. I was still in the same building. Okay. You know what I mean? So I started at PNC, then I went to Greenpoint, North Fork, Capital One, which were conversions, and then I went to HSBC. And then I learned like international banking. I was only at HSBC for about 6 months, and then 2008 hit. And if you ever reach a downtime, so 2008 hit, and I was there for 6 months, and because I was so early, they let me go. Now here I am with 2 brothers that I was raising myself, no job, just got laid off. Luckily, they gave me a year severance, so they were paying me for a year. But I was like, yo, what am I gonna do in a year? The economy just crashed. But luckily, a month later, I got a job at Citibank. And I got paid twice. I was getting paid from HSBC and Citibank for the first year because I still had that severance pay coming.
Oh, and that's from the prior company?
From the prior company, yes. So I got paid double, which helped me kind of increase my income and then got me into real estate. And I learned so much into the banking stuff from working at the bank, right? Because when you work at the bank, you can't lie to the banker. I know what you got. I could front to you, and I could say I have $1 billion. I might have nothing. I might have nothing to say I have $1 billion, but you can't lie to the banker. You know what I mean? So you see who's making the money and who's not. You'd see people with the fur coats and the fancy Porsches, and they were all loans, and you would see somebody with the rusty Buick come with $1 million in the bank.
So that's true. The people that wear a lot of expensive things have no money.
Well, I mean, no, you can't. It's hard to say, right? Because then you'd say, okay, what do you do, right? Sometimes you have to be presentable, right? Like, the guy might just be a millionaire carpenter. You know what I'm saying? But you might be a real estate agent where you have to look fresh everywhere you go. And so you can't really judge it like that. But, it's more about the money managing more than what you do, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I had people who were in cleaning services get applied for $40,000 credit cards. And I would have people who are airplane pilots making $250,000 a year that got declined. You know what I'm saying? So it's really how you manage it,
now, how could something like that happen?
The way you manage it. So, if the guy's bad with his money, no matter how much you make.
So your history shows that, all right, you make this a certain amount of money, but you're horrible with payoffs.
Managing it.
And right then and there, that I have a credit card company dropping.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, look, there's NBA players that Antoine Walker made $85 million his whole career. After 5 years, he was broke. I mean, it's how you manage it, and then there's people who lived very comfortably making $60,000 a year their whole life. But they live probably longer, like a marathon instead of a race, for the entirety of their life,
Yeah. So you say when you started at, because you worked in the bank, you started in banks. What position did you start with? I
started as teller. Okay. Then I went to customer service. Then I went to sales. Then I went to wealth management.
As a teller, did you feel tempted?
Not that I just beat the gun charge, so I wasn't trying to. I didn't even jaywalk after that. To be honest with you, I was like, I ain't gonna, I can't, what I'm saying, like, I got sponged, and I just try to,
How does that go? What they give you a certain amount, $3,000, something like that, per day?
No, I mean, to be honest, at one point I was a head teller, right, and then I had access. So when one branch closed and we moved to the other, I had to bring the whole vault to zero, and there was like millions in there. I mean, I don't personally, thieving won't get you anywhere anyway. In the long run, it's like you lose more. If I would have got it then, I would have lost it somewhere else. Sometimes something happens to me. I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? So, I'm not, I'd rather work for it than take it, and and learned. I mean, I learned so much from there. I couldn't go to college because I was suspended from all New York City, CUNY, and SUNY for 2 years. You know what I mean? So I couldn't go back to college. So I had to learn. And I got my life and health insurance license. I got my Series 7, my 63, my 6. I got all the banking licenses, and I just learned that way. And when I got into wealth management, I would pick people's brains. They would be in front of me for 20, 30 minutes, these millionaires, you know what I mean? So I would be picking their brains, like, what are you doing? What's your wins? What's your losses? You know, some of them are still my friends, you know? So I was, you know, like, there's a couple of, you know, affluent people that I can call when I just mentally need, like, an entrepreneur to put me in my place, let me know I'm nothing, and I got a way to go. Yeah.
Millionaire mentor. Absolutely. So you credit your learning of the credit game to working in the bank. Right.
No, okay, so the credit, yes, to work in the bank. So while I was working at the bank, I had bad credit, right? How ironic is that? And I was taking applications from people, and I was telling them they were declined. They would ask why. They didn't tell us. So figure it out on your own. They don't even tell you know, like when you get declined for something, they don't tell you, oh, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that. Really, they just say, okay, decline next, right? Because they don't get paid unless they get a sale. They don't want to talk to you after you decline, you know?
Oh, okay.
So, and then I had to take my Series 7 exam. So in order to have the Series 7, I needed good credit, you know? So I was stressed about that. It actually held my career like a year because I was frightened. Everybody's like, yo, why aren't you taking your 7? Oh, yeah, I'm still studying. But I didn't want to tell them. It's embarrassing that, you know, my credit was shot. You know what I mean? And then I went to this convention on credit, man. I just so happened to slip in.
A seminar.
Yeah, no, it was like a whole convention with like a bunch of booths, and it just blew my mind away because I was on the finance side, and this was a side they didn't even tell us, right? Like what makes credit good, what makes it bad, what you can do to make it better. I mean, student loans is the biggest debt in this country, more than credit cards, more than auto loans, more than mortgages. But there's not they don't teach you credit in class. But your biggest debt quite possibly could be that student loan. You might be $300,000-$400,000 in debt from that student loan. Meanwhile, they didn't teach you how to pay it. They taught you how to count somebody else's money, be a CPA, be an accountant, count his money, who's leveraging the borrowed money, but they're not going to show you how to borrow money, but they'll lend you money right there on campus. You know what I mean? So they don't teach, even at the bank. I mean, I took applications all day. I never had they gave us little courses all the time. Nothing about credit, how to sell it.
So tell me something.
Yeah.
Why do you, because they'll give you $100,000, $150,000
Sure.
towards a student loan, 18, 17 years old.
Yes.
Which is hard. You got to damn near kill somebody to get a bank loan for a business.
Absolutely.
So my thing is, why do you think they do that? And why? Well, why do you think they do?
Well, there are two sides of the spectrum, right? So, like, if you ask somebody in corporate America, they're going to feel maybe somebody who had the discipline to go through college will maybe be a better worker, right? Because you were in an establishment where they made you do stuff their certain way. But then, in my opinion, I'm not saying that somebody with a great education can't be an entrepreneur, but the entrepreneurs, they don't do stuff with the funnel. Right? They're not like the sheep or the lamb. They have to veer off and do stuff the other ways.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, they'll be stuck. I've been a lamb and sheep, and you know what I mean?
They're not on that conveyor belt.
Yeah. Okay. So, but then they'll feel like those people will work for them the rest of their life because they've been programmed to do so in that whole system. You know.
Same thing that leads to this question: why do you think they don't teach that? Why is that not one of the everyday lessons in school?
Because of the interest rate. I mean, now, like, let's say I make a late payment today and I apply for something 2 months later. Now, instead of a 1.99% interest rate, I'm going to get a 19.99% interest rate. You know, that the difference in that, I mean, on a $23,000 car, a 1.99 and a 14.99% interest rate, it's a difference of $9,600. You're paying another $9,600 for that same $23,000 car just because you might have made a late payment a couple of months ago. So the banks are so powerful that they're lending you this money. I feel they're controlling the curriculum.
Absolutely.
Because now it benefits them because they just made an extra $10,000 on a $23,000 loan. You know.
That's crazy.
It is. It definitely is. It blew my mind away too because I was taking applications at the bank every day and I didn't even think about this till I was in the thing where I'm like, man, my career is held up because of my credit because I didn't know no better. Meanwhile, I was selling credit products all day. You know?
So while you were going through that and you realized, okay, I got to get my credit up. I got to do better.
Yeah.
My next question is, what's the fastest way for somebody to go from a poor credit score to an excellent credit score?
All right. So the misconception a lot of people have is like, oh, credit score. There's 53 versions of FICO scores. When you go to Credit Karma, they don't even give you a FICO score. It's another score called Advantage Score. You could apply for a Capital One and American Express credit card and get 2 different scores on that same day. They all have their own algorithm. So I tell people,
questions back
yeah,
up a little bit.
yeah.
There's 3 different, or you said there's 50 different ways.
53 different algorithms that FICO uses to come up with credit scores. Because the bureaus don't come up with the scores. They just report the data. FICO comes up with the scores. There's different companies, the biggest one being FICO. They come up with the scores, you know. So what I tell people is, you know, don't be surprised. Don't think, oh, Credit Karma shows 630, but I have something on collections, because when you apply for that house, it's going to be 520. You know, clean up what's on there. You know, it's always good just to write dispute letters ever so often. It's like giving your credit a shape up. You know, get all the unnecessary stuff that's hurting you off there if you can. If you get it off one, not the other 2, it's worth it. Every little bit counts. And it'll help the terms of the money that you're trying to finance, to get a car, to get married, to start a family, to buy a house, to start a business, you know. All that fun stuff.
So, should a person use their credit card for everything, every purchase, or just certain purchases? Maybe the purchase is something big, or maybe just something you made, bills.
Yeah.
How should a person use it?
Well, now that depends on management, right? It's like asking a gambling man if he should come next to a casino. You know what I mean? Like, if you could manage it well, yes. If you charge everything on credit cards where you're getting rewards and you pay it back every month, you're making money, right? Because now you got a bunch of rewards. You might get free miles, this, that, and the third, right? But then, you know, some people, you give a man enough rope, he'll hang himself, right? And he'll be like, oh, I'll pay that, I won't pay that now, I'll pay minimum. The average credit card, if you make minimum payments, by the time you're done paying it, is 278%. You know, so, you know.
You never want
so it really just depends on how you manage. Yeah, if you're doing it for points and paying it off, or if, you know, it's worth it. If you're doing it to take a risk to start a business, it's worth it. If you're doing it to get the latest J's, no, in my opinion, no, it's not worth it. You know what I'm saying? So it really just depends on what, you know. It's management, like everything else, time management. You know, everything. It's better a business is ran better if it's managed good, right? If there's a good manager, it's going to be ran well.
Absolutely.
So you have to manage yourself accordingly, you know? You're your biggest, you know, liability, right? You can be,
yeah. So discipline, y'all.
Yeah.
Make sure you stay up on your stuff and make sure you do the right thing.
Absolutely.
According to how your money coming in and how you live.
Absolutely.
My next question is, what is the percentage that you should use every month on your credit card that won't affect your credit?
Utilization should be under 30%. Under 30%. So, like, let's say you have 10,000 available, you shouldn't owe more than 3,000 on lines of credits. That doesn't include the mortgage, the fixed loans, the car loans that are set in stone. Those don't, but the ones that are revolving, like a credit card where you could go in and out of, you want to be under 30%.
You want to be under 30%.
Yeah.
So anything over 30% is a problem.
Well, so basically, this is how the banks see it, right? If they see you're at 30% and less, they know that you're managing it well. When you go over 50%, they start getting scared. When you go over 80%, now it looks like you're overextending yourself. You're looking like you're borrowing more than you're making. And then they pull back. Like, all right, you know, banks like lending money to people who look like they don't need it. You know, so you show them you don't need it, they're going to give you more. But if you show like you might be towards the verge of not paying them anymore, they're going to retreat. And that'll hurt your credit score too. So now let's say, for example, you have a $50,000 credit card, right? And you only owe $10,000. But now the bank sees something else, you made a late payment or something, and they say, oh, you know what? We're closing out your card, we're bringing it to a minimum, right? And now it's at $10,000, that $40,000 is gone. Now you're 100%. So now your credit score is going to drop like 100 points or whatever points the algorithm brings because they decided to close your utilization and now you're maxed out, even though you had 50 at the time. You know.
How can someone go about improving their credit and they're not employed?
Not employed? Well, I mean, you know, I tell people all the time, I mean, we could talk about free ways to fix your credit, but, you know, to be honest, you got to get your income right first. I mean, there's no point of thinking credit if you're not making money, right? I mean, it's good to have credit and you know, they'll lend you more if you're working and you know, you want to get the income right first, right? Like sometimes I tell people come to me and to talk about credit, but then when they're telling me they're not paying their bills on time or they're getting evicted or whatever it is, I'm like, well, then you have an income issue, not a credit issue. You got to sort that out first, you know, and manage that. Maybe it's not an income issue. Maybe it's just you're not managing it right. Maybe you are making enough, but you're not managing it right. Maybe you need to drive an Uber after work. You know what I mean? It really just depends on, you know, how bad you want it, right?
Yeah. So, what's a way to go? How can you go about getting your credit score checked without it affecting?
Got it. Yeah. So if you use those credit monitoring, like I said, the scores. Look at what's on there. You want to look at the detail that's on there. So there's different credit monitoring. Of course, Wise the company, right? My company, we have a free software, fixyourcreditforfree.com. You upload, so there's sources, and we'll show you how to get your detailed credit report for $1, right? And then it's like a trial. So if you cancel before the 7 days, it's only $1. You get the detailed version, and you see what's on there, what's being reported, date of last activity, how much they're saying you owe. And if the information is different between the bureaus, there's a mistake, there's an inaccuracy somewhere. So fixyourcreditforfree.com, all letters, no numbers. I don't do credit repair. I don't mail letters for people. I offer a free software. You upload your own credit report. It generates the letters. You mail them yourself. That's one way to, and like I said, that's like a shape up, right? You're cleaning up and taking off unnecessary things. You want to keep your utilization low, keep that under 30%. It's always, if you want to do like little things, it's always good to pay the bill twice a month instead of once. So those are little things that help as well. For people who have no credit, if you have a friend or family member, they could add you as an authorized user on a card where they don't have, if they have tenure, it's good, an old card, because 10% of your score is tenure. Mm-hmm. So if they have like a 20-year-old card and they put you as authorized user, that will help. But just make sure they don't owe more than 30%. It's going to hurt you more than help you. So if you have a family member that has a large limit, old card, add you as an authorized user. One thing people get misinformed on with authorized users is authorized users don't help you for mortgages. So for example, if I'm trying to get a card, then it's going to help. If I'm trying to get a credit card, it's going to help. Like let's say I'm using Credit Karma or any one of these credit monitoring things.
So wait, pause.
Yeah.
An authorized user can just help another person get a credit card or help your credit score go up?
It's going to report on your report.
Okay, and whatever history they have will
show on your report.
But that's it.
And the availability and utilization and all that other stuff too. Yeah. Okay. But that won't help. Like for example, if you're trying to get a house, it's not going to help. And I'll give you the example. So for example, you have a 5 or 610 credit score, and the mortgage company you're dealing with wants a 620. And you get yourself added on an authorized user. Your Credit Karma will go up to 700, or they'll go up 100 points maybe for adding an authorized user, but you'll go apply for that mortgage again, and the mortgage score does not factor in, the algorithm there does not factor in authorized users. So it'll still be at that wherever it was left at. So you could use that authorized user to build it to eventually get your own credit, then show it, and then go for the mortgage. Another thing mortgage bankers won't tell you, they just try to run your credit and do a hard inquiry. Before you guys want to buy a property and get an FHA or a mortgage, go to MyFico.com, directly to FICO. Mm-hmm. They'll charge you $60, but they'll give you your mortgage credit score, and it's a soft inquiry, not a hard inquiry. It doesn't hurt you.
Okay. Oh, so it's soft. Hard as...
When you check your own credit, it's a soft inquiry. When like a third party or lender checks your credit, then it's a hard inquiry. That's where it hurts.
And what makes it like that? They really dig deep.
No, a hard inquiry is the bureaus know that it's a company, that they're being reported that an outside company is checking, as opposed to you're checking yourself, which is no harm. So go to MyFico if you're planning on getting a house. Before you go to the mortgage broker and he runs your credit and to let you know you're ready or not, go to MyFico.com, pay the $60, get your own credit report with the mortgage credit score directly from FICO. So if your mortgage bank tells you, no, this is the score, be like, no, here, this is the mortgage FICO score. This is what you're telling me you're using. This is it. I got it from them. So mortgage bankers won't tell you that because they want you to apply with them at first, even if they're just giving you decline, because now they have you in their web, right? Where if you come knowing, no, listen, I know when you pull mine, that's a score. I already know the score. What's next? What you got to offer? You know what I mean? So,
do you feel if a person gets on top of their credit and learns 360 about the credit, all around credit, do you think that'll lead them into other things like real estate?
Absolutely.
Other businesses?
Absolutely. You know what I've seen people do that, and people sell courses on this stuff. I like giving the knowledge out. So if you do sell a course, I'm sorry, but what people do, you build your business credit, right? And then you could eventually start getting business credit cards that don't reflect on your personal credit report. You'll be the personal guarantor maybe, so if you default, they'll come after you. But like, let's say you get $20,000, $30,000 in business credit cards that are not reporting to your personal credit report. You take that money and borrow it and use it as the down payment for another property. Not in New York. There's no property you can get, in New York, at least city, for that price. But like out of state, New Jersey, whatever it is, you use that money as a down payment. They lend you the rest. Now you just got a property without money out of your pocket. Yeah, you're paying interest, but that's the cost of doing business, right? You're not using your own money. Now, let's say you flip it. So for let's say it's $100,000 property. You get 20 from the credit card. You put 20% down. They lend you the 80. You put another 25 on top of it to make it better. That's 125. You're going to pay interest on all that money with all the lenders, right? So let's say it's worst case scenario, 15%. For that year, you deduct that, it's going to come out of your profit, right? So now let's say you're down 125. Let's say between all the other points and everything else, you're at 150. You sell that at 200. You just made $50,000 without spending $1 out of your pocket, And now you do 10 of those at a time, right? Because now the lenders know you good for it. You have a relationship with them.
2 or 3 foreigns for the summer. Skating through your block, niggas yelling cowabunga. You can get the files for the low. Hurry up and cop, cause you know they got the